No. I started dilating 2 weeks before, and doctor was convinced she was going to come that week, and she stayed, and she only came 2 weeks later. Should have been the 24th of March, and she came on the 3rd of April. I also had a doula that we had booked to be with us. She had been part of our journey right from the beginning. She had worked with us on how to be calm, how to handle certain situations within the delivery process. And the day that Simoné was born, that morning she messaged me to say that she's very sorry, but she will no longer be allowed to join us at the hospital. So that sent me into flat panic because it wasn't according to my plan.
Well, it was very stressful because you like Sarah said, we weren't sure if I was going to be allowed in the delivery with her, but luckily I was able to in it with her. But then also the hospital was on really skeleton staff sort of thing, so I had to, while she was busy going in and getting booked in, I had to run around quite a lot to get all the paperwork and get the stuff to the right people and things like that. And then in the same time, your wife is going into labor and so you stress and want to get to her. So I think that was a big impact, where there wasn't as much support from hospital staff because they were so short-staffed.
So due to the fact that I had started dilating 2 weeks before she actually decided to come, when she was born, she picked up a bacterial infection in my birth canal, and she when she was born, she came out with her fist underneath her chin, and her little fist kept stopping her from coming out. So doctor did have to assist me with suction, and with her sort of popping out, going back in, popping out again, she made a poo in the canal. And when she came out and she swallowed some of the fluid that had a bit of the poo in it on top of the bacterial infection that she picked up from my birth canal. So she literally went straight from my chest into NICU, and she was in NICU for 4 days with a bacterial lung infection. So she was on oxygen, she had pipes, she had drips, she was on antibiotics. She did end up getting jaundice as well. And the nurses in the NICU were absolutely brilliant.
I think I do think that you take things a lot more seriously by touching anybody, or because you are so afraid of taking this COVID, this virus into a space where your kid can get infected by it. And I think it was even worse, and just because I knew she had the lung infection already compromised lungs, and the virus is it
does attack the lungs.
It does attack the lungs already, and the stories you've heard. So I was even, I think, 10 times more vigilant and more aware of what's going on around me and who I'm touching, who I get in contact with. Even now, I think we paranoid. Yes, people would call us more paranoid than anybody else, because we know we've got something that is very fragile towards this virus.
I don't think we're classed as paranoid anymore. I think we're now classed as neurotic.
Yes. It's terrible. I mean, when we got pregnant, we from the start, from the first day said, well, at least we've got my mom, Sarah's mom, Omar, aunts, everybody that's going to be able to support us and help us through this learning curve and process. And the COVID hit, and it was just like a carpet being ripped underneath your feet. You know, it's now you can't rely on that. It's extremely stressful. It's extremely stressful. And
as old as what I am, all I want is my mom. She doesn't necessarily have to be here to help with baby, but I mean, the last time I saw my mom was a week and a half before I gave birth. So she hasn't met her granddaughter, and she lives half an hour away. I mean, and it's so hectic that we don't even kiss our own child. So far, we are all good. She does suffer a little bit from mucus. She does get mucus buildup, but the mucus is clear, so there's no infection or anything like that. So we do have to use things like an aspirator. So we do have to try and suck the mucus out. I do give her immune boosters, and we have to use a humidifier to try and keep the air as moist as possible so that we don't cause her to get flu or anything like that. But all in all, she's a strong little diva. Like, this is my first Mother's Day. I mean, the pregnancy was special. Her birth, even though under lockdown, was an incredible experience. And I'm grateful to be her mother. So, like, a cup of coffee on Sunday and her on my chest is pretty much what we're going to be doing.
Oh no, she's beautiful.